Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher. Guys, today we got a jig video, another one. We're going to be talking about the difference and when you want to use a trailer on a jig that has like a curly tail leg on it, or just like the chunk style like this that does not have any action on it. There are places and times for each one of them. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that anglers make in jig fishing is they don't understand the importance of a trailer, because the trailer action specifically, along with the profile and the color, it determines a lot if you're going to get bit on a jig or not. So we're going to get into that in today's episode. Also, guys, quick reminder that SolarBat has announced the month of January, they still have 40% off, guys, on my SolarBat series RB2s and RB3 series glasses. These are the RB2 frames. You can get them at 40% off right now. All you have to do is just go into my link in the description. I'll have my SolarBat link in there. Also, you can get them through Tackle Warehouse, so appreciate that. And one final thing, guys, anybody interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me right now, jerkbait fishing is really good here in the Ozarks. If you want to get on a jerkbait lesson, just shoot me a private message on my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler, for details there, so appreciate that. Okay, guys, a lot of you guys that watch all my channels, you know my two favorite techniques in fishing are jig fishing and jerkbait fishing, so I've spent a ton of time with both of them. And I want to talk about trailers today. Now, the trailers we're talking about, you can apply these to both a finesse jig or a regular full-size jig. And by the way, we'll be talking about my Blaukat Power Finesse Throwback jigs in the video here. I'll link these in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys would like to pick a few up. Living rubber frog hair skirt on it, the best jig material out there, labor-intensive, hand-tied skirt, so link in the description for that. But it doesn't make any difference on the size of your jig. The type of trailer action is going to be really important. Now, first of all, I want to tell you guys right off the bat, I prefer the chunk style trailer like this. This is a Zoom, the Zoom Super Chunk Junior here. Zoom makes a couple different ones. The Super Chunk Junior, they make a big salty chunk. And these are the ones that are straight tail. They don't have any action on them. This is what I prefer most of the time on a jig, and I'll explain later. And then you have, this is a little Zoom a twin tail trailer on there, but they've got some twin tail trailers like the Speed Craw that have some type of vibration in the legs here. Now, two different scenarios and two different things to consider. First of all, when you're talking about using a curly tail jig like this, a lot of it has to do with how much water or how much drag the tail has on the jig. Now, say, for example, this little twin tail here, there's not a lot of drag there, but there is a lot of action with the legs. And some of the thicker tailed one, like a Speed Craw or like a Strike King Rage Craw, it's a thicker tail and it will slow the jig down more. But ultimately, anytime that you have some type of a curly tailed trailer on a jig, it's going to slow the fall of the jig, depending upon the type of curly tailed trailer. This is very important to remember, because when you're choosing a jig size, you have to realize that the rate of fall on your jig will determine not only the head size of the bait, but also the type of trailer. And sometimes you want a fast fall and sometimes you want a slower fall. Okay, given that, let's talk a little bit about when I like both ones. Now, most of the time, I catch more fish and bigger fish on a straight tail trailer, especially if you're in some type of off-colored water. And I do like fishing my jigs in off-colored water most of the time, except for one exception. For me, jig fishing, especially, fishing with a bigger jig, I'm talking about fishing water visibilities that are less than 3 feet. If the water visibilities are greater than 3 feet, that's when I'll go to the finesse jig, like my finesse power jig. And this is sort of my rule of thumb. Water visibility less than 3 foot, I'm going to be using some type of a non-curly tailed trailer. For whatever it is about it, the bass react to it better. But if I'm in clear water, sometimes I like to go to the curly tail trailer because the action of the legs is visible to the fish. Now, there is some element truth to that in off-colored water. The legs can create some type of a vibration or water displacement, but I'm not really concerned about that, because in off-colored water, the bulk of the jig is what is the attractor to me. So I'm more about the visual strike attractor. And in clear water, a lot of times this curly tail trailer will get you a visual strike, especially if you're fishing water visibilities of over about 4 foot. Here are two situations where I like a curly tail trailer. Number one is if I'm pitching or casting my jig to like a steep rocky bank or a bluff. If I'm hopping that jig down a bluff bank wall or like a riprap bank wall where it's going down fast, deeper, in clear water, I like that curly tail. It just gives a little bit of action for those fish to hone in on. But the other time, besides that, is I do like a curly tail jig around boat docks. For something about a curly tail jig trailer around boat docks, really, really good. I catch a lot of fish around it. And another advantage about using a curly tail trailer, I'll give you real quick, is if you're fishing shallow water cover, like lay down trees or lily pads or whatever, if you have a curly tail trailer, you can have two different jig techniques. You can pitch and flip that jig like you normally would, and you can also swim it like a swim jig. Swim jig trailers need some type of a curly tail for the most part. And say, for example, if I've got a curly tail trailer and I'm going down a bank that's got some mixed cover on it, I can try swimming that jig, just under the surface next to that cover, or I can pitch it and flip it. So it's a little bit more versatile in that area. But overall, guys, this is what I use most of the time. Big Salty Chunk, Zoom Super Chunk Junior, Super Chunk. I'll link all that stuff in the description of the video here in my Tackle Warehouse link. But anyway, just a quick little video, guys, on trailers. We'll talk about colors at a different time, but I just wanted to talk about actions today. So hope it helps you guys catch some good ones. See you.